arcade gamers, and welcome back to Biggie D's Arcade. Tonight we're doing Sunday Chill and Chat like we do every Sunday evening, talking home arcade with the home arcade community. Hope you guys are having a good evening tonight. I've been doing a little prep for my move here, which is going to be at the end of the month. So I've already started wrapping my arcades. Like I've got my Marvel superheroes and my Pac-Man completely bubble wrapped and plastic wrapped, and moving things around, unplugging everything. I doubt these arcades behind me will be plugged in much longer. But just getting ahead of everything. One thing I've learned, owning these home arcades is you really want to take a lot of time and effort into your preparation and for moving. I like to really wrap them good, keep, no nicks, no scratches, nothing during the move. And one way you can prevent that is just taking your time, making sure everything's prepped well and packaged well, protected for the move. Let's say hi to everyone who's made it in the chat so far. So far, it's only been Papa Brad's Gaming saying hello. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you made it. He says hello, and good to see you in the chat tonight. We don't have a ton of subjects tonight because it seems like it's been kind of slow, this last week. We had CES, Las Vegas, last week. Normally that's when arcade went up, Iconic Arcade. A lot of these other companies will make their new products known for the year. However, that didn't happen. Arcade went up, like I told you, it wasn't going to be there. Iconic Arcade wasn't planning on being there or even having any updates, and we didn't get any. So yeah, the only person that we knew was going to be there was My Arcade, and I've got plenty to show you guys tonight in relation to the My Arcade booth at CES, because I think there was a lot there to see and some interesting stuff. So we'll go through that tonight. And we'll also look at Arcade Went Up Countercade, that NBA Jam. I want to take a little bit closer look at it. And then also the Spongebob SquarePants. There's a really good deal on that right now at Costco. It's hit or miss whether or not you're going to get it at $2.99, but there are people out there finding them right now as low as $300. So it is a good time to go get one, I think, at that price. If you've just been on the fence and you were waiting on a deal, I think now's the time you can get one. Brooklyn Menace is here, Gaming Menace, saying, "What's up, Biggie D? Good to see you, Brooklyn. Glad you're here in the chat, hanging out." Johnny Blaze is here as well, saying, "Greetings, everyone. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you made it tonight." So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the CES My Arcade booth, because we had briefly touched on this Namco Capcom Mega arcade cabinet, like counter-sized arcade cabinet last week. We really more were focused on the Atari because I didn't know what they were going to be showing at this, but someone in the chat, I can't remember who it was, mentioned this one, and I actually went and grabbed a picture of it and showed it last week. And it was interesting because the one we saw last week, which was from last year's CES, not this year's, looks a little bit different. And it's really just the placement, I think, of some of the controls. Like the spinner, I think, has been moved back. And those buttons that are in front of the spinner have been moved to the front, probably for a little bit better access. And then also, I doubt there's going to be a ton of the games using that spinner. It's going to be more using the joystick with Namco and Capcom. So the placement looks like it was just better positioned for it. Get more out of those controls in that way, in that position. Let me see if I can find the old picture that we showed last week, if we can still find that one online. But it looked a little bit different in last year's CES compared to this year. So they've been definitely making progress on it, improving it. And let's see, can I find the one from last year? See, what happens is the new CES stuff articles start coming out and then drowns out all the stuff from the previous year. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it or not. Oh, here, I found an image of it. So we can compare it from last year to this year. Here we go. All right, so this is it. The side looks pretty much the same. It's got the Final Fight, the Mega Man, in the Street Fighter 2. 200 games, classic wood construction, all that's the same. But see how the spinner is kind of towards the front? This was 2025 CES. And you see there's 3 buttons positioned behind the spinner on this one. So now we'll take a look at the one from this last week. We can see now we have 4 buttons in front of the spinner, and the spinner's been moved to the back behind those buttons. So why did they add the extra button? Not sure why. Maybe there was a game that they threw in there that required that extra button. Not quite sure yet. And then also probably the spinner isn't being used a ton with this cabinet. There may be select games that use it, but it's not the focus. So they moved that to the back, out of the way. So I think that looks good. And left side, Pac-Man pole position Galaga artwork. And then the right side looks like it's the same Street Fighter 2, Mega Man, and Final Fight. And then there's over 100 games on this thing, but some of the highlights for the Capcom is going to be the Street Fighter 2, the Mega Man, Final Fight 1942. For Namco, it'll be Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, and Pole Position. So these are all real heavy hitter, good licenses to get, also good games to get on the cabinet. So I'm really interested in this. I wasn't hugely interested in the Atari, mainly because Atari was more before my time of really gaming. I didn't get into gaming full force, till I was Nintendo NES. So the Atari doesn't have as much nostalgia value to me as this Capcom Namco will. Because, when I got my Super Nintendo, got Street Fighter 2 with it, fell in love with that game. Always been a huge fan of Final Fight. Got the cabinet behind me, Mega Man. So these are all great. And I skipped out on the Evercade Alpha. Never got the Evercade Alpha. Also been, skipping out on the quarter arcades. Because these are bigger. These are like quarter size or larger countercades. And I don't have a ton of room for these. The smaller ones, I try to get as many of those as I can, like the New Wave toys. But when you start getting into the quarter size, then you have to start kind of thinking about how much space do you have, like on this shelf here, how much actual space do I have for these things? So this is a good one to get, I think, because it has so many games on it. I just get one, and it covers all my Namco and Capcom in one countercade. And I also like the unique controls on this, where it's got these concave buttons, and it's got like the spinner. These are going to be new controls, ones we're not used to, we're not adapted to or become familiar with yet, with like the arcade 1-ups, the ACT games. This is all new tech, all new by a new company. So it'll be interesting to get this product in my hands, play it, have some fun with it. And it does show like a 16:9 screen, and it shows it stretched out, but I believe you can keep it in its normal aspect ratio also to still enjoy those games the way they should be played, I feel like. Fire Island HD is here saying, happy Sunday, all. Good to see you, Fire Island. Also, he says that these Mega players look cool, but was hoping they'd do a Sega version. And that's what I'm hoping for as well, is that they do end up doing a Sega version of these. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Sega ones they had at this year's CES here in a moment. But we'll see what they end up doing with those. It's a slow process with my arcade. It's like, takes several years for them to develop and bring out a product. The ones we're really focused on tonight are these Namco Capcom, which has been at 2 consecutive CESs now in this form factor. So I think this one's really far along. Everything I'm hearing, these are firm set date to release on July 2026. So here in like 5 months, this will for sure release. I don't know if they're going to do a pre-order or any of that. It is going to run like $250 to $300. So we'll see if they do a pre-order for it. But looking forward to this machine. I think this was probably the highlight of CES, was this Megacade, because it really fits like what we enjoy in this hobby, which is like an actual wood construction arcade cabinet. And even though it's a countercade, at least it's, you know, something new, and it's got new games. It's going to be playing differently than what we're accustomed to or used to. So it's a pretty cool idea and neat product. Also, if this does well, it seems like they're open to moving to larger and larger form factors with success. So like you saw with the Atari, they started with the Gamestation Go. Now they're getting into the arcade cabinet. They're taking their time with the development, making sure that each move that they make, each decision that they go with, has, you know, a little bit of positive effect, moves them forward a little bit farther. So if this does well, I think that opens the door up for them doing arcades like the size of an arcade 1-up eventually. I think that's a real possibility, and that's got to be their ultimate goal, you would think, with a name like My Arcade, that they actually do make an arcade size cabinet. Now there was another one, which was the Gamestation Go, which we got the Atari version of that in October of last year. They're going to be doing the handheld Namco X Capcom, which looks like it has a pretty nice screen on it, and we're going to look at that here in a moment. It's also a 4:3 aspect ratio, so it fits the games perfectly. They got rid of the trackball because we're not going to need that, but we still have the spinner paddle, and we've got multiple buttons for the 4 major buttons. Then you got an M1, M2, and a 2 of those, 2 M1s, 2 M2s. We'll see what those games utilize those buttons. It does have shoulder buttons as well. So this is all really cool. Let's take a look next at this is another shot they gave us, like a high quality image of the handheld itself. It's got a power button. It's got an HDMI out on the top, USB-C. It's got an SD card slot, so we can probably sideload games onto this. We got our shoulder buttons, R1, R2, L1, L2, and it's pretty sleek. It's pretty thin piece of of a device that you can travel with, you can take with you. This is going to be great for us, like that love like classic arcade games, love the nostalgia of these games. To be able to take this on the go will be nice. I mean, I ideally would like to get this and the Mega Arcade. I'd like to get both, you know. But where do I see these going? You know, some things I would like to see them do, because these are still in development, so there's still a lot of things that they can do with these. I'd like to see, that I haven't heard yet, are online leaderboards. I think they should at least get that in there, where it has Wi-Fi with leaderboards, because that's going to keep people coming back to the machine. It's going to keep people hooking it up to the TV and playing to score chase. And it gives someone a community like to be a part of with the My Arcade community, if they at least have leaderboards. But I'd also like them to be able to download games in the future, have firmware updates, all that. So I think Wi-Fi is a really important part of these countercades that I haven't seen that they've advertised yet, but I'd like to see that implemented at some point, either on this version or a future version. Papa Brad's Gaming using those emojis. Good to see Papa Brad in the chat. He has got tournaments galore on his channel. I noticed he was also involved in a big virtual pinball tournament this weekend with Tomato Grass, which I saw was a huge virtual pinball tournament that he's hosting right now. You guys should go check out. All right, so let's look here. We're going to look at some video right now of those screens that we just saw. And this video is thanks to the Rexer show, as well as I grabbed some from just the Rexer show, actually. He had us covered on CES this year. Normally I'd have to go to like Gen X Grown Up, have to kind of go outside of the home arcade community to get some of this information. But Rexer was like perfect source for a lot of this. He covered it all on his channel. So go check him out. But this is him walking into the booth, and first thing he goes to is this Namco Capcom Mega Arcade cabinet. And here it is behind the glass. And I guess that's a power button there in the lower left. I would assume that's a power button. Maybe it's a volume slider. I don't know what that is. Joystick looks good. It's I think there's still some room for improvement on that joystick, though, from what I'm hearing from Rexer. He's saying that, if you're going to be playing fighting games on this, They need to step it up, improve that joystick some more. The buttons look pretty unique and different. You know, they go with this style of button. They all kind of look the same on a lot of their arcades, but these are more larger versions of anything they've done before. So I'm interested to see what these like click and feel like. Also, they have this light up technology around the buttons as well. So anything that uses or utilizes the controls of the games on the cabinet are going to light up those individual buttons for you to know which ones you can use for that game. So I think that kind of technology is pretty cool. It looks like that bezel is just going to be kind of the screw-in bezel like we're used to with the Arcade 1-Up. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be modding these with their own bezels, own artwork, putting in lit marquees, things like that. It does have an SD card slot, a couple of USB-C slots for some controllers. Power, there's your power on and off. Aux jack. And then I don't know if that's volume, must be. Here's your games list. Now, I'd posted this as well on athomearcades.com, so you guys can go check it out there. But I pretty much got this out like as soon as the information, or as soon as Rexer put it on his channel, basically. I was able to gather this information, put it on the website. I noticed it's already indexed and part of the Google search algorithm for this device now. So that's really cool. But here's your full games list. Here's your image of the side here with those games. Here's that place card. Looking at it, it's 200 games. That's pretty cool. A lot of games on this thing. Classic wood construction. Be able to save games. 10-inch screen. That smart glow technology. That's what's going to light up those rings around those buttons, so you can see which ones you're going to use. And then here's your games list. We got Jaleco, Capcom, and Bandai Namco, but there's some really good ones in here. Like Dig Dug 1 and 2, of course, you got to have that. Galaga, Galaxian, Galaga 88, great to see that. Rolling Thunder 1 and 2. Xevious is a really good one. Glad to see Xevious made it on there. Now for Capcom, this is really the reason I'd be getting this device, is mainly for these Capcom titles. But you got a lot of the 1944 games on here, which is great. Final Fight. We've got Knights of the Round. Hyper Street Fighter 2, the Anniversary Edition. So that's an interesting one they threw in there. Along with Champion Edition, Hyper Fighter, and the World Warrior. New Challengers, and Turbo. So you've got a lot of Street Fighter games on here. That's great. Strider. Some hidden gems in here like Magic Sword, Tiger Road. And then we've got some good console Capcom games. All the Mega Mans 1 through 6, plus the Willy Wars, plus Mighty Final Fight. That's pretty cool to see that one in there. So this is a great games list. You're also going to get Jaleco console and arcade games as well. So this thing is packed to the rim with games, which is great. This is like when they call this thing the Mega Arcade, like they aren't joking. I mean, it is a mega. They're taking that name seriously with this. They're putting so many games on this, which leads me to believe that like downloadable games for this are probably not going to happen. Like, I don't think they're going to do a store and all that, but maybe they could do Wi-Fi at least for updates and leaderboards. I would hope they can have plans to do that. Nosapalooza says the Black Tiger is very cool. Yeah, I think there's some really good gems, like some ones that are hard to find on other cabinets. You're going to be able to find on this one. So very cool to see such a huge games list being confirmed, and also noticing that this is right around the corner. That you know, it's hard to give My Arcade any you know, like trust in that the dates that they give us, especially after like how long it takes them to put stuff out. But from what we're hearing from Gen X Grown Up, it is a firm date of release on this, which will be July of 2026. So that'll come quick. Won't take long for this to release. Become much quicker than you think. Now, this is the handheld, the Gamestation Go handheld, which is interesting too. That, like, I may want to get this as well, just because I'm such a huge Capcom fan. If you guys haven't noticed, I got the Final Fight, I got the Marvel Superheroes, I got the Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And Capcom's just like always been one of my favorite classic arcade licenses to get and to play. And remember, you know, from the 80s and 90s. But 200 games, 8-inch screen. This is a high quality 8-inch screen too. It's a 4x3, fits perfect aspect ratio for these games, fills the entire screen. So it's actually a ton of screen for this little device. So it'll compete with like the Switch and handheld consoles. 200 games. So you're going to get that full games list. And they did get rid of the trackball, but we weren't going to need that. They also are going to be releasing this as well, which is going to be called the Gamestation Retro Pro. I don't know how big I am into this. I don't need another just plain plastic console under my TV. So I probably won't be getting this, but it is nice for those that would like that and would like to have like actual controllers that come with it and just plug it into the TV. You know, it's very low investment, low development for them to throw this whole games list, this whole UI onto a console as well with a couple controllers. But it'll be interesting to see when people pick this up what they think of it. But I probably won't get the Pro is what they're going to call this one. I mean, it looks like all three of the devices, so the Go, the Pro, and the Mega, are all going to have the same games list. This is the Fight Stick. So they're also coming out with the Fight Stick as well. Video Game Vegas is here saying evening all. Yes, the games list is looking good on the My Arcade Capcom handheld, but putting Assault on it is stupid. Assault uses 2 joysticks with the triggers. Other than that, great games list. And that's another thing. I think they need to get updates on this thing because, like you said, there's going to be games that are going to need some improvement. And we're going to notice that certain controls aren't working correctly. It does have the external controller support. So, like, would they come out with a Fight Stick in the future that would be a dual stick, joystick controller for those types of games? Like, they can do those kind of things on the fly or over time with the ability to update. That's why I think Wi-Fi is really important. Calvin's asking about the money. So the handheld's going to be $200. The Mega arcade cabinet's going to be $250 to $300. We don't know yet. And then the Pro console, don't know a price on that at all yet. But I imagine it'll be less. It'll probably be like $100 to $150. Here's the Fight Stick. This is $79.99. I do know a price on it. But this is nice too, right? You have this external Fight Stick that you can, or arcade stick, they're calling it, that you can plug into these devices as well. So this is great. This is exactly like the stuff we've been getting from Arcade 1-Up, except for the 3/4 scale. You know, we don't have that size from them yet. But the more that this does well and the better it does, the more money they make from it, the more likely they are to do a bigger scale or larger scale arcade in the future. Because this is all just kind of getting them to that point, right? These parts can be used in a 3/4 scale size arcade if they were to make one in the future. So if this does well, they'll have joysticks, they'll have buttons, they'll have controller boards, they'll have all that tech already that they can develop and include into a 3/4 scale or larger arcade cabinet. And then it looks like you can buy just the controller by itself. So that is the Namco Capcom that we were looking at last week, or we had briefly mentioned last week. We didn't know what they were going to go with this year at CES, had no clue. But like I told you guys, it was probably going to be a lot of what we saw the previous year, just because they move so slowly. They release so little at a time. So seeing all this and just perfected and improved just a little bit at this CES is a really good sign. That means the Namco Capcom is like to the finish line. Like this is coming out for sure, which is nice to actually see a CES from them and know what we're actually getting. Going into it like the year before, where a lot of that stuff will never see the light of day. Fire Island HD says, I bought the Atari version of this TV console a few years ago, and he still never opened it. Yeah, the Atari doesn't draw me in as much as like this Capcom Namco stuff does. Not a big Atari guy. Video Game Vegas says, I'm just looking forward to the My Arcade jukebox. That system looks like fire. I did see a lot of people talking about this jukebox. I wasn't planning on bringing it up unless one of y'all in the chat wanted to see it or talk about it for a moment. Otherwise, I was going to skip it, but it's not something I'm at all interested in. Really, I don't. If they do well with it, like if it sells well and it makes them money, more power to them. But I don't want to help promote it or make it any better than it would already be on its own, because I don't necessarily want to see this get made. But this is what Video Game Vegas is talking about, are these Pac-Man jukebox arcade machines, which are going to have Bluetooth speakers in them. So you'll be able to play your music from it, but it'll also have, a screen and controls for some Namco games. But from what I saw in the video, the screen isn't even that great. It's a lot like the screen they put in their cheap, like $30 handhelds and those plastic mini arcades. So this isn't going to be high end, where the other products we were just looking at are going to be much more premium. This is going to be more of their low end entry level stuff we're looking at here. I'm more interested in what they're going to advance into and the direction they're heading towards with the Retro Mega, the Retro Go, and the Retro Pro. Those three there that we looked at before it are the one. That focus and that direction is more what I want to see from My Arcade, and what I'm more interested in is their higher end stuff that they could possibly do or are going to be doing here soon. Kelvin Wong says the Neo Geo arcade stick, it looks a lot like it. Video Game Vegas says, if My Arcade could make a Capcom 3/4 scale machine with that huge games list, that would be amazing. Wouldn't it, right? It would not only be competition to like Arcade 1-Up, Basic Fun, but they would just do it a little bit differently in their approach, and it would be just something different, fun, to play and enjoy and to have next to the stuff we already have. So I think this would be a great direction for them to do this more premium high-end stuff, get some really good licenses, and make some great arcade cabinets. I think they're very much capable of doing that. Fire Island HD says that jukebox needs a lot of work, and I wouldn't expect them to see it until holiday 2027 because it is in their early concept stages. Yes, absolutely. Glad you brought that up, because with that jukebox, this is the first year we saw it. And like we saw the earlier prototype of the Bandai Namco Capcom 2025, it'll probably be, if we see the jukebox again next year, then it's pretty much done. Like it's pretty much final version, and they're going to be releasing it. If we don't see the jukebox next year, then that was done and over with. That never was going to be made. So I think that's how they run these CESs. They get as much out there as they can. They can see what people are most focused on or what they believe got the best reception, and then they go with those products. And they may pick like one, maybe possibly two of those to launch in a single year. Fire Island says, but what will catch eyes of the retailers at CES is someone liked it a lot, they will rush it. Biggie, you're missing out on the football. Yeah, I know that there's a Patriots game going on. I'd like to check that out, but I got to do my Sunday show. Whether football's on or not, I can always catch that later. But good to see Rexer show, especially since we're looking at some of your video here. So the next thing we're going to look at, let's see, is going to be, let's take a look at this slide, because this is just that Pro we were looking at, which is just essentially the console you'll just put under your TV, get a couple controllers with it. So 3 products total, which I believe will all release in July of this year. So in about 5 or 6 months, it's going to be the Pro, the Go, and the Mega. These 3 are all very far along and will all be releasing here soon. So I'm really looking forward to that stuff. Now, we did look at the Ataris last week. They did show those Ataris off again this event as well. They also showed off this Pac-Man, which they're going to call a Mega Player. Looks like it's got a 9.7-inch screen, wood construction. I don't know if this one's yet going to be made. This one I think is still in the filling it out stage. Do people really like this? What's the reception like to this thing? Should we make it? It's kind of ugly, right? Like the color, the artwork on this just kind of looks like graffiti. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this at all. It's also smaller. It's got smaller buttons on it. Looks like it's probably going to have a smaller joystick. I think that one is still in the early stages right here. But like, look how small those buttons are. We knew about this one last year. They were showing some images off of it last year, like some sneak peek images, and then they actually had it under the glass this year. So we'll see what ends up happening with that, but I'm not a big fan of it. And then they were showing off the Atari Gamestation Go, which came out last October, but they've also got these controllers as well, which we looked at last week, which are currently available. It does have a little screen down the middle of it in between the controls. Maybe they can utilize that screen for like a second display at some point. Right now it just loads with Atari logos, but maybe they can utilize that second screen, kind of like the Wii U did, and give us like some scoring or something on that second screen would be nice. Or if like you're playing pinball, make that a DMD or something. And then here we're going to get an Atari fight stick with this. And then you can see that trackball there as well. I can't tell if this trackball is a little bit bigger than what came on the Go, but it looks like it is. The spinner is definitely bigger. It's got the keypad, which is nice. So Atari arcade stick, as well as the Bandai Namco, as well as the case. So they're going to keep going with the Atari. We also got a quick look at that Pac-Man Countercade, which they're going to call the Mega Player. So they're going to have the Mega Retro, which is going to be bigger, and then they're going to have the Mega Player, which is going to be a Countercade size, but a little smaller. Fire Out of an HD says, I'm a Pats and Steelers wins away from having a 6-for-6 weekend in the big pool I'm in. That's awesome. So it sounds like your bets have gone well. Shotgun Sean says, you redoing your room, things look a little different. So I'm moving at the end of the month. So I'm packing everything, wrapping all my arcades. I put them in, wrap them with plastic and bubble wrap, take the game decks out of them. And that way when I move them, they don't get scratched or beat up. Mine are all in perfect shape. They don't have any scratches or dings anywhere on them. And that's like one of the things I love most about my arcade 1-ups is like they're in perfect condition. I feel like if mine started to get beat up and looked messed up, I wouldn't want it as much. Like I would want to replace it with a new one. Something I like about having these is, different than from going to the arcade is the arcades are all beat up. The ones in my home though, they're like show pieces, and I try to keep them that way. And I've moved these things so many times throughout the years living in apartments, but I've gotten good at wrapping them, protecting them for those moves. Rexer says, good time to dump those 1-ups. I was thinking about that today. I was like, just having these three, the KI, the Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and the Final Fight, just these three. Like, I would be just happy with just these, and be just as satisfied with just these three than to have all the extra ones that I have. It actually makes you appreciate the individual ones more when you have less of them. I noticed as soon as I shut these other two down and I moved them out of the way, I was like, these look a little bit better now because they're more exclusive. You only have three to look at now. Video Game Vegas says, I'm not a fan of the graffiti artwork. So I think there is a less is more with these too. You got to be picky about the ones you get. The lights are cool though that I had up. Yes, the lights make all the difference, right? Like the setting of the room. Like for anyone that's a home arcade enthusiast or hobbyist that wants to get into live streaming and you want to make a studio and you want the lighting and the environment to all fit what you're trying to do, get those marquee lights and put them on the wall behind you because they make a huge difference. Like you guys can tell from last week to this week how much different it looks like to you guys visually in what you're seeing without those lights. Fire Island HD says that screen display would be ideal for the Dreamcast VMU emulation. Nosapalooza says that stick is nice if it can connect to other stuff with the USB, talking about the arcade stick. Yeah, can we use it with other devices? I was thinking that as well as what kind of input is it using? Is it going to be proprietary to the My Arcade or can we connect it to other stuff? I hope they open it up to everything. Calvin Wong says the Gamestation Go is at Target for $189. I'm waiting on a good deal. I probably will not get the Atari one unless it's like an incredible deal like that $100 that was at BJ's. We don't have BJ's here in Arizona. If we did, I would have picked that up. But I'm probably just going to wait for this Capcom one. And once I get that, I'll be good. I won't need the Atari. Fire Island HD says, consider some white wire covers when you put up those signs over the arcades at your new place. I recently did that with my LED light signs. Yeah, I've thought about that, you know, a way to hide them, maybe get them the same color as the wall so you can't really see the wires. I'll be looking into that. Thanks for the suggestion. Calvin Wong 874 says you can use a large flat screen TV boxes for the arcade one-ups. Didn't think of that either, using, you know, large TV boxes for them. But I just wrap them real good with plastic and bubble wrap and just move them that way. It seems to work pretty good. Maybe put some like moving blankets over them when I put them in the truck. All right, so the last part here that I wanted to show you guys from the CES event from the My Arcade booth, this was from Rexer Stream Friday, where the Sega, so they still do have the Sega license, and looks like they're still going to be doing a lot of these, but they're starting off with just these small plastic handheld, you know, players. I forgot what these are called, but they got Golden Axe. Looks like they have Sonic the Hedgehog. They do have the Outrun, so the Outrun is coming. And looks like some of these are going to have the console, like a Sega console version of it on there, and some will have the arcade ROM. Streets of Rage will be one of them as well. What do they call these? The Micro Player? Did I see that? Yeah, so the Micro Player Pro. We're going to get some Sega ones, which will be Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and the Outrun. So these are cool. Looking forward to what they're going to do with Sega. They're starting small with them. I don't know why that is, why they're not doing like the Mega Player or the Go with Sega. But I would imagine if all this stuff does well this year, there's probably going to be a line of Sega versions of this stuff this time next year. So bet on that. Darren Kane 9372 says there's a BJ's in Arizona if you pay for a diner. Yeah, none of the BJ's wholesale store, but you can definitely get some BJ's in Arizona. Calvin Wong says, but we don't know if Outrun is the arcade ROM. I think they confirmed that the Outrun is not the arcade ROM. It's actually the Sega Genesis ROM, I think, or emulation is what I heard. Because Outrunners is on there. Did that come out on the Sega Genesis? Yes, it did. So I think those are Sega Genesis games, unfortunately. Fire Island HD says it is because of the My Arcade Sega deal that Numbskull was unable to get the deal with Sega. I guess the Mighty players are considered 1/4 scale. That's interesting. So Numbskull Quarter Arcade was unable to do this license because My Arcade had it. That gives, I think, My Arcade more reason to use this license, make more cool stuff with it because they've got the exclusivity to it. They should use it for all their stuff. I think it would do really well. You guys imagine a Sega console or a Sega handheld or a Sega Mega Player cabinet. I think those are going to do really well, especially the handheld, since we all had probably like a Game Gear, you know, grew up playing a lot of these Sega games. Video Game Vegas says Sega licenses are very expensive. At least they were for iArcade, but glad we got some good Sega games on that machine. Yes, very good to see that because we heard about them doing Sega last year and they did a few of them, but it didn't really, they didn't make a ton of Sega stuff last year. And it was good to see them at CES again this year with that license. It means it's going to continue. More stuff. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is going to be this NBA Jam Countercade. I'm actually going to use B. Kirby's video for this. You may know who B. Kirby is. He's sometimes in the chat hanging out with us. Haven't seen him yet tonight. But he is a really good guy. He does a lot of the Countercade collecting, does a bunch of videos on this. I came across his video that dropped this week on the Countercade, so I wanted to use it for our stream tonight. So let's take a look at this, just to kind of get a better idea of what this machine will give you. We can confirm now that 16:9 screen because we're getting the basketball images on the left and right there. But it doesn't look terrible. I think where the screen is really going to cause some issues is it looks like it's washed out to the side. So if you go real far over to the right, it starts to really wash out. But the game deck looks pretty good. Like for the size of that game deck, you're getting full-size button and joystick. Looks like you're going to have enough room to play it. I think the marquee looks good. I think the side panels look good. Outside of the screen, I think this, and not having a marquee, which we can upgrade later, I think for $150, and even with the Kohl's cash, it's not too bad. They also went down in size too. And if you go watch B. Kirby's video on this, he'll explain it. But they went down significant size in this cabinet. So it's probably, if not the smallest, one of the smallest arcade one-up countercades they have made so far. You can see he puts it next to the quarter arcade TMNT, which is a quarter size arcade, and you can see how much smaller it is than that. So it's a tiny little countercade for an arcade by arcade one-up standards. But it looks good. I think it's going to do well. There are definitely some things that are holding it back for sure, but I think they're at the right price point, especially having it at Kohl's where you can get the Kohl's cash definitely helps. And this is a good like purchase for like a gift idea, you know, or office setting, things like that. So I don't think it has to have like the lit marquee or the best screen and all that to do well. Let's take a look at the Countercade price. Okay, so it's $150 at Kohl's right now. And I think they're doing Kohl's cash as well. So yeah, they're doing $30 Kohl's cash, which will be good January 12th through the 19th. And I think that's the same deal that we looked at last week. So let me go back to that slide from last week, if I still have that. Let's see here. Arcade went up, NBA Jam Countercade. Well, here was the here's that like the deluxe NBA Jam, which was down to $349 with Kohl's cash. So not much more, you can get like the 3/4 scale size. But if you don't have the room and you're just wanting the countercade, that's too big. Let me see if I can find that slide from last week. Here it is. So it was $149 with $30 Kohl's cash last week. So this is the same price this week as was this last Sunday when we did our stream. Same pricing. But I noticed during the week, like they didn't have the Kohl's cash. They seem to only run the Kohl's cash like on the weekend during certain sales events, things like that. So right now, as of tonight, would probably be a good time to move on it if you're wanting to pick it up. But go check out B. Kirby's video if you're interested in seeing more about it. If you're going to want to pick it up or not, he's got a great video. Another thing, Spongebob SquarePants. So the claw machine has been really popular. It has sold really well. They've made tons of these at Costco, sold tons of them, and now they're trying to clear out inventory. And this seems to always happen with these Costco units, especially if they do well and they sell a lot of them. They'll over supply them, and they'll have way too much stock of these. Well, that we've come to that point now where these are $299, or at some of the Costco's out there. This is an image from the Arcade One Up Facebook group this week, where someone had found it for as low as $300, which is half off. And I think that's like a steal of a price at that point. You can get one of these at $300, and you were just the least bit interested in picking one up. Now's definitely the time to move on it, and you can get it at Costco for this price. So for this machine at half off, I think this is definitely the time to move on it. And this is the exciting part about the Arcade One Up collecting, is when we do find these kinds of deals, right? And they do get liquidated. This is always a lot of fun. The thing about this year and this time period is Arcade One Up didn't make a ton of arcades. They did really well with the claw machine, but they didn't make any of the arcades that we want. So Toy Fair, I told you guys they weren't going to be at CES this year. That held true. Pretty much all the predictions I had made last week had pretty much held true, except for that At Games 4K puck, which I told you guys was a long shot to begin with. I still think that 4K puck by At Games is still in development, and I think it's really far along. It probably will get released this year if they decide to do it, but it didn't happen during CES. Arcade One Up, we knew they weren't going to be at CES, and I didn't have any doubt that they were going to be there. They weren't going to be there. Like, I knew that they weren't. But they are going to be at Toy Fair, which is coming up next month in New York. And that's when they're going to show off their full line of Arcade One Up cabinets, is next month. My worry after seeing this Countercade, though, is that they're going to go with the widescreen monitor. I'm really worried that this new full line of cabinets that they're going to release this year is all going to have the widescreen, which I really hope is not the case, but could be. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think like the average buyer or the average consumer really even cares about that, but we do as like enthusiasts, as hobbyists, we really care about that. So we'll see what happens next month at Toy Fair. Video Game Vegas says B Kirby is the Countercade master. Absolutely is. He's got so many Countercades. He shows off a lot of his stuff in that video. If you guys go check it out, would love to have a collection like what he's got. Fire Island says using a 7-inch 16:9 means it's only 5-inch playable, which is really the main fail. Have such a small screen when you're playing these classic games that don't use the widescreen. Wingo is here saying, hey, y'all, you have to join our pinball tournament, Wingo. We just started today, actually, for the Duke Nukem Pinball M tournament. Video Game Vegas says, actually, the Costco's where I live aren't selling SpongeBob for $2.99. The lowest where he's at is $3.99, which is still a pretty good deal even at $3.99. But keep an eye on that because they'll probably hit that $2.99 soon. And then SpongeBob Claw Machine's down to $1.99. He'd get one at $1.99. I'm moving into a bigger place. I'm in an apartment now. I'm moving into like a little house, and I'm actually going to have like a full bedroom for all my game stuff. So I'll have extra room. And if I could find one of these for $200, I think I'd have to pick one up just to do a review on it and have it in the arcade. Can't beat that price. And that's realistic too, is you could actually get one of these claw machines at $199. That's realistically could happen. All right, so what else we got here? So really the only other thing that I had on the agenda for tonight that we had to cover was going to be the January pinball tournament. Normally I'll do these towards the end of the month, but I had to bump it up because I'm going to be moving, and I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of time devoted to making sure the scores are updated and all that. Here's all the information on it, what you're going to search for, password that you'll have to put in. You can play this on your Xbox, your PC, or your PlayStation 5. We're doing Pinball M, Duke Nukem's Big Shot Pinball. Play it on your PC through Steam. That's how I'm doing it. And I host these each month. They seem to be getting a little bit more popular each month. It's getting really competitive. Also, I like the fact that the scores get put on the website, and then that get indexed by Google. So you really have like a large of the part of the community, like the Pinball FX, Pinball M community, seeing these scores, whether they're participating or not. They are seeing the final results. They are seeing the scores, and your names are getting recognized, by the community. Just because of the weight of the website and how much that holds as far as, search terms and being able to, like I checked yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, if you search Pinball FX Tournament, my website is the first website to come up. So I really see these tournaments starting to grow exponentially over this year, and get more and more popular as people learn about them. I do keep it really locked down with that password. So there's no way just random people can get in. They actually have to know the website, or they have to know the YouTube channel, or they have to know a friend of the YouTube channel to be able to get into the tournament. So it is very locked down, but we'll still have a good number of people participate, and it makes it really competitive and fun to know that we're only competing with people that we know, not just everyone. But here's the scoreboard right before I went live. It was only Ojib and I on the leaderboard, but I just posted it this afternoon. So I don't know if the word's out really yet that the tournament is up, but it is. And you guys should go join. I will put in the chat all those details as well. So if you guys are watching the replay and you guys want to join, all that stuff's going to be in the live chat right now. Video Game Vegas says Duke Nukem Pinball. Let's see here. Maybe I can't put the details in because it's too many letters. Let me take out the platform. There we go. So there, you're going to search for that password. Really, the two things you have to know are going to be, you're going to search for this right here. And then you're going to have to know the password, which is Home Arcade. All one word. If you know those and you have Pinball M on your PlayStation 5, on your PC, on your Xbox, you can play in these tournaments. And this is our January one. We had 30-something votes, like almost 35 votes for this table. And it wasn't like an easy win for Duke Nukem either. We had 34 votes. It went all over the place. It started off as Duke Nukem was winning, then Twilight Zone was winning, then Venom was winning, and then Duke Nukem took the lead again. So Duke Nukem won its spot for January this month. And it's a great table. It's a lot of fun. If you guys played Duke Nukem on your console back in the day or on your computer, back in the 90s, this pinball table is a true tribute to those classic Duke Nukem games. And it feels like Duke Nukem when you're playing it. And it's a solid virtual pinball table, too. It's a really fun one to play. So it's great for tournaments like this because you really get a lot of fun out of the game itself. Not just the competing aspect of it, but the game's a lot of fun. Let's see. Anything else? So yeah, the 4K puck did not happen. It did not, get released or announced during CES, but I still think this is on their, like agenda. It's on their plans for 2026. Maybe they just weren't ready yet to announce it, but I think behind the scenes, At Games is actively, very much so, working on a 4K puck device, which will allow everyone to participate in their At Games ecosystem, their pinball tournaments, be able to purchase their pinball tables. All that's coming here really soon, or an announcement at least. I did pick up this really cool controller. You guys may have seen this post by me. But it is this 8-bit dough. What is this thing? Ultimate 2C wireless controller. like when you look at it on the box, it doesn't look like anything special or anything. It just looks like a regular gaming controller. But it's got this dongle here that plugs into your PC, into the USB port. And something about that dongle, it's like the speed, the response time is like instant. And it feels like you're playing a console, like you're playing like your PlayStation or your Xbox or your Switch. It makes your PC feel like a console. That's the only way I can put it into words. It's also a very sleek controller. It feels really good in my hands. I've never been much of a controller guy. I'll always just buy like the Microsoft official to play my PC games on, and never go outside of the box, right, and buy any aftermarket stuff. But I picked this one up because it was on sale. It was like $22. It was normally like $30. And Best Buy had also sent me a $10 gift certificate. So I got this thing for like $15. But man, I fell in love with this controller as soon as I started playing it. And I just, the response time, it's so quick and it just feels so natural. Like you're not even playing it on a computer. And then I just started playing this BioShock Infinite, which is a game that I've had forever. I even have it on Xbox 360 physical disc, right? That's how old this game is. It came out on the Xbox 360. But I have it on PC, on Steam. And I started playing it on my laptop. I have this old, or it's not an old laptop. It's maybe like a year or two old. But it's like an entry-level i3, 8 gigs of RAM, has no business playing games at all. But it can play this game, like, has no drop in frame rate, nothing, plays it perfectly. And I'm having a lot of fun playing BioShock Infinite on my little crappy laptop, and plugging that into the TV with this controller. One part about plugging my gaming desktop into my TV is I don't like having this big bulky computer next to my TV or running an HDMI cable from my desk to my TV every time I want to play. But having it on a laptop, it's kind of cool because you can just close the screen on the laptop and just place it next to the TV real quick, and it's plug and play. It feels like really quick and easy to get into a game. So I found another game that I'm going to start playing on this laptop too with this controller that I picked up for $4 yesterday, which is a game that I never had picked up in the past, but it came out in 2013. I was playing it earlier today. It plays really good on my laptop. But it was this game here, if you guys remember. It's a Capcom game, DuckTales Remastered. But it's on sale right now for 75% off, $3.74. So I picked it up and I was playing that as well. Pretty cool side-scrolling game that I'll enjoy playing with that controller. But go check out 8-Bit Dough. I know that they were also at CES. I was watching some of Rexer's coverage on his live stream. Looked like 8-Bit Dough had a booth at CES this year. Video Game Vegas says At Game should only make one announcement that they're going out of business. It sure seems like it. I mean, their pinball line did not do too well. I don't even think the HD TMNT, which did make it into Sam's, did too well. So I don't know what their plans are for the rest of this year. I don't think they'll ever go out of business. I think they are set up for like a worst case scenario, like they can stay in business no matter what. But they just won't be releasing much of anything, right? It'll just be kind of like a keep the doors open until they can get ahead of the game and maybe make something new in the future. But I don't think they're going to be, if anything new comes out, it's going to be that puck device. So very low development, very low resources to get out the door and get moving. There's not much as far as distribution and all that warehousing for those little devices. So they can do that, no problem. But like the 4K pinballs, I don't expect any new skins of those this year. Actually, the availability of those 4K machines is really hit or miss now. Like they don't keep a lot of them in stock anymore. So even if you wanted one, I think it's a little difficult to even get one now. I think there's still a ton of the HD TMNT pinballs at Sam's. So if you still want to get your hands on one of those are still out. That's technically a new product for last year, but it really goes into this year because it came towards the end of last year. So I think there'll still be plenty of supply of the TMNT HD pinballs, but nothing new. Fire Island HD says, hopefully 2 HDMI outs on the puck so we can do a back glass setup. That would be really cool. I was thinking about that as well, and I've seen this in the responses on Facebook about that poll about the 4K puck, is they need to make it kind of plug and play where you can, like, let's say you have the old At Games pinball, where you can plug that in to that and make your old HD pinball a 4K machine, essentially. Or let's say you have like a home setup pinball machine. If you have the back glass and the DMD inputs on there, and it does multiple displays from that device, you could plug it into like your modded or custom made virtual pinball machine and have the 4K ecosystem all on your machine. Or like with the X Arcade, where I have like a separate screen for my DM&D and back glass image, to be able to plug that 4K device in just like you do a PC and be able to have those multiple displays. I think that would be huge for them. And it would really open up their environment, their ecosystem to a huge number of players that can buy their software finally. Because there's one barrier preventing At Games from making money right now, and that's the people have to own their product to buy their software. They can't download their application onto their computer and play their pinball games from their computer. You have to go buy one of these very expensive machines in order to buy that software. Well, this 4K puck eliminates that barrier for them, where essentially a person can spend minimal $150 and then get introduced to the software that they can now purchase, where At Games can actually make some real money. So it's very realistic that it will happen. When it's going to happen, I have no idea. I thought it was going to happen this week during CES, but maybe they're just not ready. Maybe it'll happen, in the next couple months. We'll see. Fire Island HD. Oh, another thing on that is maybe At Games goes to Texas Pinball Festival. They did go to Pinball Expo, not last year, but the year before. Maybe since they didn't go to Pinball Expo 2025, they'll go to Texas Pinball 2026. And maybe they'll show off this 4K puck, maybe their 4K machine, their new TMNT HD machine there. If they were smart, that would be a good place to show it. Video Game Vegas says you'd be better served looking into Glenn's Retro Show's Viper for the X Arcade. At least you'll be able to own it. At Games will never let you own any of their online products. Yes, I am very much interested in that Viper board that will plug into the X Arcade. I think from what I've heard from Glenn, that's actually happening pretty soon. I think it's up to X Arcade to actually release it on their website and sell it. So I think that's the holdup right now. But from what I've heard from Glenn is it's ready. Fire Island HD says, also hope the puck will work with the X Arcade, which is use 50-1 over the Gamer Pro. The TMNT At Games cannot play the 4K tables, not as of yet. But everything that I'm hearing is that they are working on getting the Zen Studios pinball tables to the TMNT HD pinball. It's just a matter of time. That it's all being developed right now. It's all being troubleshooted and bug tested right now. So I would say here very soon in the next month or two, you'll be able to play your Zen Studios. No guarantees, but from what I'm hearing, you'll be able to play your Zen Studios tables on the TMNT HD pinball. Video Game Vegas says, I can attest to the At Games 4KP as something everyone should avoid. You can never own it. You're paying to rent it. My review says it all. And Fire Island says, At Games had all those TV console Genesis Atari systems in recent years ago. They need that one for their pucks, and it would be a difference maker for their online store. Yeah, I think At Games has a lot going for them still. Like, I still love my At Games Legends Ultimate. I don't play it a ton. I have it upstairs in my bedroom. In my new place, I'm going to have a much bigger game room. I'm going to be able to keep all the arcades next to each other. And I think it'll get a lot more game time in the future. I was also thinking about it today. I'd like to get that lit marquee for it that changes with the games. I think that would enhance it enough to convince me enough to play the At Games Legends Ultimate more. So I'd like to upgrade the marquee on it eventually when I can get a decent price on that. What do they call it? A bit LED marquee. So news-wise, I think that's going to be it. I did show this where the website is doing really good. Got 180 unique clicks from Google search terms. I just got an email yesterday, which was only less than a week later, that number is now over 300. So it's the website's actually doing really good. It's getting a lot of unique viewers, a lot of people coming across the website. So I think that's really cool. Maybe we'll start seeing more people in the live streams, like new faces, new names popping up, because they're coming across this information. Eventually, they'll start learning about the streams and getting involved in the pinball tournament and all that stuff. But it's definitely going to be different this year. I think like for me in this channel, I'm really going to have to grow my channel outside of like how normal creators in the home arcade community do it. A lot of the home arcade creators will do it more of like a community friend environment where everybody has each other's back and they all support each other, and they all, go into each other's chats and support each other. My channel is going to be grown much differently than that. I'm going to be using like my website, making articles, hosting tournaments, getting my website, my channel out in other areas on social media to encourage people to come find this channel. So my growth will be more so from like new faces and new voices, and people that come across my channel will be where most of my growth comes from, just because of where I am in the community and how I contribute to this community and things like that is a little different than other channels. Video Game Vegas says, Biggie, you were smart making your own virtual pinball setup and avoiding the 4KP. Your setup is amazing. I'm glad you brought that up. I do still have my Arcade 1-Up Attack from Mars pinball. And I noticed it was this week or maybe last week that the mystery encoder mod is right around the corner. I think he's finally got that thing ready. So let me see if I can find that information here quickly. Let's see here. Where is that group? Here it is. It's the Arcade 1-Up Pinball group. And here is the post. I found it. You're going to see all my groups. But I don't think that's an issue. It's all like gaming mostly. Here's the post right here. Latest on the pinball kits. Made a lot of progress after Christmas break. The plan is to have pre-orders open before February. So in the next couple of weeks, there'll be pre-orders. And basically what we'll be doing is we'll be buying a board that Mystery Encoder made, similar to like what I did with the iArcade. And I'll be, instead of putting it on the board like we did the iArcade, it's actually going to replace the Arcade 1-Up pinball board entirely. And it's going to have all his software, all that on it, to allow us to sideload pinball games onto the Arcade 1-Up pinball. And we'll have solenoids, we'll have DMD, we'll have all that. So this is all coming here very soon. So being able to open my Arcade 1-Up pinball to virtual pinball will be really cool, because that thing's been collecting dust lately. What will add to what I've done with the X Arcade. Have that set up, but I'll also be able to play pinball on this. So this is going to be really cool. I'm going to be following all this. I'm going to be doing this mod. So I'll make a video and we'll follow it during these live streams. But essentially my Arcade 1-Up Attack from Mars pinball, which only has 10 Williams pinball games on it, is now about to get opened up to a huge library of pinball games. And I'm still going to have all the features that the original machine had in the flipper solenoids, the plunger, the DMD, all that stuff is going to be working. So really cool that Mystery Encoder put all this time and effort into developing this stuff, because it would have never happened otherwise. Spellgood says, I was going to mention that too, Video Game Vegas. He says, is the Mystery Encoder coming soon? Awesome. I've been waiting. Can you post a link in the comments later? So the link, I don't think there's a direct link, because it's like a closed, like private Facebook group where he's posting this. But I'll put the Facebook group name in the chat. So if you guys want to join, there it is. And I maybe even get you a link too. Yep, there it is. So you guys can join and follow that stuff. Calvin says, did you do the 1UP Mystery Encoder mod? I haven't done it yet, but I'm about to. So that's pretty much it, guys. Kind of a slow week, you know. I mean, of course, we expected this. You know, we only expected My Arcade to really show up to CES. Now it's going to be really gearing up for Toy Fair, which is going to be where Arcade 1UP's really going to be showing off all their stuff, which will be next month in February in New York. Plus, I'm going to be moving over these next few weeks, so I'm going to be really busy with that. I was thinking about I'll probably stream next Sunday, but I can't guarantee what it's going to look like in here. I guarantee most all this stuff behind me will be boxed up by then. But I'm going to try and keep this desk with this microphone and this lighting at least set up till next Sunday so we can stream one more time. And then that following Sunday, which will be the 25th of January, for sure will not be streaming that day because I'm going to be moving that day. And then I probably won't be back until February the 1st, maybe even February the 8th. So there may be like 2 or 3 weeks where we go without a live stream, but I will be here next week. So we'll prepare for that next week. But just kind of giving everyone a heads up that I'm going to be really busy with the move. Plus, whenever I get into my new place, I got to set all this crap back up. And there's tons of stuff you got to do to live stream and make it, you know, have decent production value to where you guys want to listen to it or see it. Video Game Vegas says, Biggie, if you're interested in seeing the software Mystery Encoder mod did for the Tech from Mars, I'll show you the video review. Okay, that's cool. Spell Good says, is moving is fun as hell. Good luck. I know, right? It is tough. But I took some time off work to do it, and I've got a friend helping me getting a moving truck, and it's going to be a much better place where I'm moving to. It's going to be a house. I'm going to have like a full bedroom for my game room rather than this little space I'm in now. And also, it's just going to be a really nice area where I'm going to be living. So hopefully it'll improve my mood a little bit too. I'll be just a little happier living there. JJ says, hey, Biggie D, happy Sunday. Shame CES was such a home arcade bust this year. It was. I predicted it last week. I think even if AtGames had announced the 4K puck, it still would have been a dud of a year for CES because My Arcade really was the only person or company that showed up to deliver anything My Arcade or home arcade related, I should say. But I think it's all building up in anticipation for Toy Fair here in a few weeks. So just hang in there. It's going to be probably a little bit slow for the next few weeks for home arcade news, more than likely, but we've been through the worst of it. I think, you know, now that Basic Fun has taken over Arcade 1UP, it's really going to get exciting during the Toy Fair event when all this new stuff gets announced. So what we can do is speculate, follow it, look for leaks, you know, hopefully get a little bit of a head start on that news before it hits. But Hollywood Polo's here as well. Good to see you, Hollywood. He says, did you have a fun weekend? I did. I had a great weekend. Got out hiking twice, yesterday and today. I've been getting into this drone stuff. I got 2 drones now. So I showed you guys last week the one drone I bought for $65, which flies perfectly. Well, I found one just like it for $80 on Amazon, and I got that one this week. So here's the one I got for $65, right? It flies perfectly. I can land it exactly where I want to land it, like to the T. and it takes decent photos. The video is pretty bad, pretty shaky, but the pictures are all right. So that one was 65 bucks. You can't get that one on Amazon anymore. The seller who had that is gone. The listing is gone. But I found another listing for one that looked just like it. It has a different model number, but it's essentially the same thing. It does look a little different on the top, but outside of that, it's the same controller, same batteries, pretty much the same exact thing. And this was only $15 more, 80 bucks. And the reason I got the second one is in case I ever wreck that first one, I've got a second one to still fly around. And then also, the batteries only last like 30 minutes between the two batteries. This gives me an hour of fly time now with having two of them. I was going to take it out. I went hiking yesterday to fly it, and then I went hiking today to fly it, but it was just too windy outside. Like it wasn't super windy. It was like 15 mile per hour, but for those little half-pound drones, they say don't fly them over 10 mile an hour wind. So I didn't even take them out of the case this weekend, but I wanted to. Hollywood, can you use them for home surveillance security? Oh, man. Yeah, guys, it was a lot of fun. Glad you guys were able to come hang out with me tonight. We're going to wrap it up. We'll be back next Sunday talking more home arcade. Hopefully get some more exciting stuff to discuss. Either way, we'll be here having a good time. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys have a great start to your week. Make it a great Monday morning at work and get your week started off right. I'll see everyone here very soon, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.